Moose hunting is an old tradition in the Scandinavian countries. For the Stone Age man, the moose was an essential part of life and could be used in many different ways. The moose was an essential source of meat. The hides provided warmth, and the bones could be used to make tools or weapons. The moose were usually trapped in large pits, or by simply driving the animals out over a ledge. Today, the moose is considered to be the most highly regarded game, but trap pits and the bow and arrow have been replaced by modern weapons. Of the many different species of moose, the North American moose, Alcis agigas, is considered to be the largest. The Swedish moose is somewhat smaller and usually weighs around 500 kilos. From the beginning of the 1990s, around 100,000 moose are shot in Sweden each year. This is the greatest number in the world. The majority of moose are shot by hunters waiting on stands or with the help of hunting dogs barking to keep the moose at bay. The methods of hunting vary from one part of the country to the next. Approximately 250,000 hunters participate in the Swedish moose hunt each year. Drive hunting, a method of driving the moose to the hunter, is most popular in the southern regions of Sweden, while in the wilderness of the north, dogs are used extensively. Each year, the moose hunt attracts hunters from all parts of the world.
Yo vengo de Madrid, de España, y ha sido una experiencia fantástica estar aquí.
The scenery is beautiful, it's well organized, it's safe, controlled, well planned. It is very nice.
Bei einer Jagd, die ganz etwas anderes ist wie bei uns in Österreich, da es hier Tiere gibt, urige Tiere, die es bei uns in Österreich gar nicht gibt.
It's worthwhile for a lot of people coming to Sweden when they like nature.
All hunters are required to prove their shooting skills before the hunting season begins. The hunting teams are at the shooting range, practicing their aim as early as summer. This test shooting is mandatory for all hunters before the moose season. Practice shooting ought to be done throughout the hunting season. Moose hunting in Sweden is permitted from 1 hour before sunrise until sunset. The hunting team meets in the morning for a run-through of the day's hunt. The hunters should be well prepared and well equipped. They must have in their possession a Swedish hunting license, hunt insurance, and a weapon license. Every hunter should wear at least a bright red ribbon on his hat. For the moose hunt, a Class 1 weapon is used, one in which the force of impact of a 10-gram bullet at 100 meters should be at least 2,000 joules. The team leader informs the team in what areas the hunt will take place and what type of moose will be hunted, such as the size of bulls or if cows are to be shot. Each hunter is then assigned to his own special stand and is instructed where the team will reassemble. It is important that every man pay close attention to the team leader's instructions to make sure that the hunt is safe and enjoyable for everyone. Briefings are available for hunters from outside Sweden, usually in English or German. It is the hunting leader's responsibility to make sure that the participating hunters are well informed about current regulations and the conditions for the day's hunt. Each hunter is expected to get to his own stand, which is not necessarily by the side of the road. The hunter does not load his weapon until he has reached his stand. During transportation by boat or automobile, the gun must be unloaded. Always have the bolt pulled back or removed to reassure your fellow hunters that your gun is unloaded. It is always safety first during the hunt. At the stand, the hunters usually receive further information and conditions, such as from which direction the drive will occur, where fellow hunters are stationed, or which lines of fire are prohibited. Prohibited lines of fire are often marked with red plastic tape or red paint on tree trunks. The hunter is not permitted to leave his stand during the hunting pass. Accidents usually occur when hunters leaving their stands are mistaken for a moose or come into the line of fire of their fellow hunters. Concentration and attentiveness are the A to Z's of hunting. Swedish hunters try to maintain a high average age in the moose population and assure that the moose are as productive as possible. To be able to get large trophy moose, it is important that the majority of bulls shot are young. The moose that are in middle age are given a chance to grow in order to improve the chances for trophy moose. It is common that hunting conditions state that if a cow with 2 calves are spotted, only one of the calves can be shot. This increases the chance that the productive cow will survive another year. If both calves are shot, there is a large chance that the lone cow will also be shot. Good judgment must be used while shooting moose and other wildlife. A head-on shot is very difficult, and the odds of only wounding the animal are great. Aiming for the neck should also be avoided, unless you are very close and the moose is standing still. In these situations, the hunter should wait for the moose to turn and expose its broadside for a safer shot. The largest and best target area is of course a hit to the heart or lung region, as shown here. A shot from behind is reprehensible and should never be attempted on a healthy moose. In comparison to hunting in Central Europe, the hunter in Sweden usually remains at his stand for longer periods of time, sometimes up to several hours. He should not reveal himself by making unnecessary sound, which might make his presence known to the animal. If a moose approaches, the hunter must then use his best judgment and shoot only when his chances of killing with his first shot are best. Even after a successful shot to the lungs, the moose may continue for up to 200 meters. The hunter should not at this time leave his stand to search for the wounded animal. but should report the position of the moose when it was hit and wait for further orders from the team leader. It is the search dog's task to search and find the moose, if the moose has moved out of the immediate area. Swedish law states that a search dog must be available during all moose hunting. The dog is considered the most important member of a hunting team. If a wounded moose is about to be finished off, it is of great importance for the hunter to be aware of the dog's position. In this case, there was a great risk that the dog could have been hit. The dog has an important role in the Swedish moose hunt, especially in areas where the hunting team has access to a large hunting area. Every year in Sweden, a large number of gold trophy moose are shot. The antlers legally belong to the person who owns the hunting right, but are usually given to the hunter. No matter how good your shooting is, a hunter should always find a support before firing. For instance, support against a tree. Another type of support is in a kneeling position or sitting on your backpack. A sighting stick can also be helpful. One of the most important moose hunting regulations is that when a cow and a calf are spotted together, the calf should always be shot first. In this case, poor judgment was used by shooting the cow first, even though the calf was clearly visible. An unwritten rule is always to observe a female for about 50 meters to make sure she is alone. A cow and calf come along. The calf takes position at the cow's hind legs. The hunter fires at the calf, risking also hitting the cow, a dangerous, risky shot. The chances of only wounding a moose that is standing behind bushwood and twigs are great and should not be attempted. The desire to shoot a moose is usually great. Even if nerves are fully cocked, the hunter should never fire upon a moose when it is positioned in a prohibited firing line, behind a red line or between red markings. Situations sometimes arise which can be quite stressful for the inexperienced as well as the experienced hunter. This can occur if several moose appear at the same time. Here we see a cow with a bull trailing behind. The hunter fires and hits the bull. Both animals continue along the road. At about the same time, another bull comes out onto the road. The hunter makes a good decision not to shoot because he does not know for certain if the moose he shot is mortally wounded or not. After a short tracking, the animal is found dead from a high lung shot. Here we see one hunter at his stand and another hunter about 150 meters away, with a road between them. A young cow comes into view on the road. The hunter aims, decides the shot is chancy and does not fire. The moose continues moving into his prohibited firing area. When she positions herself in silhouette, there is the other hunter in the background, which stops the hunter from shooting. Quite often startled moose come trotting quickly by. A simple way to stop the animal is to make a call. This noise confuses the moose and it stops. Sometimes even a simple whistle does the trick. Never fire upon a moose which is positioned against the horizon. A shot not fired can never be regretted. Hunting during the mating season is prohibited in Sweden. On the other hand, the chances of attracting a moose just before and after the mating season are good. Full-grown bulls are the easiest to call. The bull is lured into believing another bull is in the vicinity and scrapes his antlers against a tree. With just the right call, a hunter can usually lure the moose close enough to get off a good shot. A hunter may only leave his stand to finish off a wounded moose when the hunting team leader has permitted him to do so. This should be done from behind. One of the oldest known methods of hunting that is still in practice today is the use of hunting dogs. The dog's role is to divert the attention of the moose by barking, giving the hunter the opportunity to sneak up close enough for a good shot. It is important not to put the dog in jeopardy when firing at the moose. The dog should never be positioned behind the moose. It is essential for the hunter to have control over the positions of the dogs. In order to use the dogs to their full capacity, a high-energy dog food should be used. The Swedish hunter makes it a habit of keeping his dogs in good shape. When the beaters approach the hunter at his stand, the hunter unloads his gun. The hunter should always unload the gun before leaving his stand. If the moose is shot from the stand, the hunter should mark the path to the moose. This marking is done to assist those removing the moose and should be done as soon as the hunt is over, not before. As in past days, many hunting teams remove the moose from the area by hand. The hunting team leader must have control during the entire hunt. Through radio contact, as is used by most hunting teams, the leader can quickly get an overview of the situation and take the necessary measures. The hunting team leader has a large responsibility on his shoulders, and his orders must always be obeyed. The hunter should learn to gut his own catch. If he has not yet learned how, there are always fellow hunters that will show him how and help. During a break, the hunters usually summarize the day's events, and plans are made for the rest of the day. When weather is poor, or towards the end of a long hunting day, most mistakes occur. They often occur when the hunter is cold and tired. These mistakes may cause unnecessary suffering for the moose and unnecessary searching for that wounded moose. That is why it is important for the hunter to be properly clothed as well as equipped, but he should also be prepared psychologically in order to handle the stress and strain that can occur. In heavy fog, the risks of making a mistake are the greatest. Never fire upon something unless you are 100% sure it is a moose. In these situations, the red band on the hunter's hat is essential, and the hunter's attention should be at its best. In Sweden, moose hunting continues into the month of December, and sometimes into January. The prolonged season is due to the need for each team to reach their quota of moose, without unnecessary time pressure. Normally, only moose are shot during moose hunting. Other wildlife, such as roe deer, are left alone. During winter months in the northern regions of Sweden, the moose population moves to lower terrain with less snow, where the access to food is greater. Quite often during the winter months, one finds large numbers of moose gathered at their winter feeding place. The moose generally eat mountain ash, sallow, willow, and aspen if available. The dominant vegetation at the winter feeding grounds is sapling pine trees. The moose population must be kept on such a level that the forests are not put in danger. A full-grown moose eats between 8 to 10 kilos each day during the winter. Moose grazing on a young pine forest can cause large amounts of damage. Different inventory studies are being used in order to get some idea of how large the moose population is and how much damage they cause to the forests. If the coverage of snow on the ground in the winter is good, an inventory by air is possible. One type of inventory technique, called moose observation, is made by each hunting team reporting the number of moose seen while hunting. This method does not give the hunters an exact population, but can at least give a picture of the trend in population development. Another method which is being used more and more is the observation of the amount of grazing on different types of brush and trees. If conducted several years in a row, it can show a trend in the access and usage of food for the moose. Each year, moose cause a large number of traffic accidents. This is one more reason why it is important to keep the moose population under control. Swedish moose and moose hunting is well researched. We know that approximately 250,000 hunters spend about 2 million hunting days hunting moose. The average moose hunter hunts at least 1 week a year. The value of the moose shot yearly is about 1 billion Swedish crowns, 2/3 of this being purely recreational value. Swedish hunters make up about 4% of the population. With Sweden as a member of the European community, the number of guest hunters in Sweden will most likely increase. 1 week of moose hunting in Sweden is for most hunters a memorable experience. Today, many hunting dogs are equipped with a radio transmitter, which helps the dog owner keep better track of his dog. If the dog is out of hearing range, the transmitter helps the hunter easily locate his dog. Man's best friend gets his reward. A successful hunt is the hunter's reward, and is proof enough that his efforts of building up a good moose population has shown good results. Most moose today are transported out of the hunting area by the use of small vehicles, which are also used in forestry. The old method of slaughtering a moose on the spot and carrying the meat by hand to the nearest road is still used in northern parts of the country. Even the slaughtering technique is modernized today. Most moose are transported unskinned to a slaughterhouse, where the slaughtering can be done in a more efficient and hygienic way. Never forget that hunting should be conducted with a great deal of seriousness, good judgment, and responsibility, but should also serve a social function. The fellowship after the hunt is just as important as the hunt itself. It has been said, there is something special about hunting. Think only of the forest, the drive, the breaks in the food, the companionship. And if you happen to bring something home with you, that's not so bad either.